remember how to.
Do join, but then,
Recording in progress.
so now go into audio and say,
I'm already
oh,
done.
you did already.
Faster.
Make co-host. Thank you, now a co-host.
Okay. Let's get started. Is this when I'm supposed to admit I didn't review the minutes?
We can go over them if you want.
Yeah.
Do you want me to give you just a review?
Yeah,
real
let's
quick?
get to a review.
Okay,
That'd be
so we
great.
talked about, we updated the resort tax expenditures and revenues overall. You presented an overview of where we are year-to-date. In expenditures, we are at $1.4 million in revenue year-to-date, which is $100,000 over last year in actual collections. Second topic was review and update budget recommendations to the city council. You also presented an overview of the 25-26 budget. The law enforcement budget was set at $100,000 and they're asking $200,000-ish this coming year. 50,000 of that was to be put toward a new law enforcement center. Last year's spend, okay, sorry, let me restate that. We had set it at $100,000, they are asking for $200,000. 50,000 of that to be put toward a new law enforcement center. Last year's spend for law enforcement was 50,000, so it's a significant increase. The consensus from the committee was that the resort tax cannot continue to absorb these types of increases, but should be funded through a public safety mill levy, as the committee feels public safety is very important. And then after further discussion, the committee budgeted 140,000 to police, so somewhere between that 100 and 200. Fire protection funding is still in the works. Tom explained the city spends 28 mills, currently 320,000 out of the general fund for fire protection. The proposal is that we take an amount, 13% or 182,000 from resort tax, which by law can only be used for capital expenditures. In exchange, the amount spent from the general fund would decrease to be a set amount, like 20% of the general fund. That's not accurate?
Say that again?
Might be easier for you just to read it. Fire protection.
Yeah, the 20% is, okay, yeah, no, that's correct.
Okay.
Yep.
And then we talked about capital projects. Street signs moved to $0 from 40,000 as the project changed in scope. Ice rink improvements is our next big project with $400,000 proposed. Main Street sidewalk repair moved from 50,000 to 80,000. EDA sidewalks is budgeted at 100,000. The vacuum truck is still budgeted at 523, but the truck is still on order, so this wasn't spent in the 2024-2025 fiscal year. So, Maples wants resort tax to consider funding 82,000 for Pride Park upgrades in this coming year's budget. Also wants to get ahead of snow plowing if Remington Ranch gets annexed to the city, which would add 20% more streets, and he thinks would require a new, smaller loader, which would cost roughly $200,000. This would likely be included in the 26-27 budget. And then apparently which I don't have in the notes, we talked about, and I can add it if you guys all remember talking about it. We talked about
I meant it in this year's budget for the midi loader.
for the but even without the annexation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just 'cause I don't want, just thinking that that's gonna happen, and if I have the ability, I'd rather play ahead of the game than behind the game.
What was I put 300 in, and the note said 200.
Yeah, I don't know.
We haven't-
I think Lonnie, I don't know, I'm.
She's got 120.
I think at 120, that's what I priced some used ones, and that's what they were coming out around between 80 and 150. And I think there was a little chunk in there for the split for the dump truck.
With water and sewer.
Water and
Yeah,
sewer
which is
for
not
all
something
the-
that we talked about last time, so.
Yeah, and I don't know how we missed it, because it has been in the budget since May, so it just got overlooked, I think,
Well,
because.
we talked about it, I might not have talked very clearly, but.
Yeah, maybe we missed that one.
Yeah.
Well, and like I said, I could have been typing and not.
Yeah.
I
So
don't
I took
remember
that-
the dump truck.
I took the 26,
The
27.
dump truck deal's
Out
not
of
a
there?
big deal, 'cause it's a
Okay.
used truck, and we're gonna split it three ways, so
Okay.
it's not
16,668 out of
Probably
resort tax.
15, 20 grand.
Yeah, and then the rest of it was just an update on the resort tax meeting in Red Lodge, the 5-year review ordinance, and Carol Garvey
I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes from last meeting
as amended.
as amended. Second?
My second?
Are you voting?
No.
Then don't second.
Okay. Well, we don't have a quorum. Well, yeah, we do.
Didn't
Three.
Bruce just second it?
Yeah.
He made the
made
motion.
so you gotta,
I can second it.
thank you. Somebody needs to second it. Okay.
All right. Next up is update on resort tax expenditures and revenues.
All right, so, let me go to this. Share screen, broadcast. Little, and go to this one right there. Okay. All right, so this is, the most current, can you guys see that? I've got glasses on, but I can't, so I have to.
A little bigger.
I can make that piece bigger. I will try to adjust this so it maybe works
There you go.
better for that. Is
Good.
that a little bit better?
Yeah.
Okay. So, essentially, collections, came in about $100,000 over, last year on the 3%, 1,473,464. And our, expenditures, were about what collections were, so 1,406,540 is what our, total expenditures were, so.
Can you repeat those two numbers?
Yep, so, 1,473,464 was,
147,464, yep.
and expenditures were 1,406,540.
Thank you.
I would assume these are subject still to some revision, although I bet they're pretty close at this
Pretty
point.
close, yeah.
Yeah, from,
Thank you.
they were updated, Friday, I think is when I got them from Lonnie, so, they're probably pretty close. So essentially, our collections and our expenditures in this budget year were, even, so we spent what we took in.
Okay.
So I have one sort of question.
Sure.
The storm sewer line 8,
Oh,
491, 150, and you've got collections of 491 down there.
yeah, can I rephrase myself?
Yeah.
I forgot that I did this. So the collections in the the expenditures in the 3% were 915,390.
But that's because we didn't spend the 453 on the
523.
523, no?
Independent of that,
Right,
the expenditures were 915,390.
right.
And
But they
that
were supposed to be more.
That includes the 500 that we allocated.
It does
No.
not include, no, it's not, that's,
That's why
this
it's
is
low.
a cash basis thing, so
Yeah.
this is what we took in cash and this is what we expended in cash.
Yeah,
What I have in here also is because it's, and I'm gonna adjust how this looks, I keep track of not only the 3%, but also the 1% in the total pieces. So that's why that number that Brent picked up on that I just zeroed out.
No.
I'll put back.
What was 1% collected this year?
The, yeah, 1% collected was 491,149.
So what was this talk of this 540,000 thing people were talking
The
So
about?
jetter truck.
is the jetter truck.
Okay,
And so we budgeted to spend the jetter truck, but they couldn't get it built in time, which is not shocking.
right.
And so that it's gonna come
So that's a
It's-
carrot.
sometime in the next couple of years.
Right.
Oh,
Right.
Oh, really? That's pretty good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So,
But,
yeah,
but that's why we only spent 915,000 instead
So
of, that's
the
what I was
1% is
trying
right
to
here.
say.
491,
It would have been-
150?
Yep.
491,
150. Yeah.
and then, and then the expenditures were still 1,406, 540, with both of those.
Yeah.
That was a storm sewer expenditure, 491, or?
No, it's not, yes, it's not an expenditure, it's just that's what gets over allocated directly to storm sewer. Because we don't track what you spend.
Got it.
Okay, yeah, so,
Don't care particularly,
thank you.
yeah.
So
So-
that's like that all the way across then?
Yes, I
So,
will,
okay.
I will redo that so it is clear.
Okay.
I will put that in a separate table so that makes more sense.
Okay.
Originally, I did this just for me, so, you know, the things that, you know, pretty much, have been the same, you know, have been that, you know, our sewer and our storm sewer, tax relief was 673. So that's the total, that's the expenditures and the income piece, off of budget. Any comments or questions there?
What percentage is that tax relief?
It's 5%.
It's supposed to be
Okay.
5, yeah.
Thank you.
It's
Or it has to be
5%.
5. By law, it has to be, or by ordinance, it has to be 5%.
By law, it has to be, I think.
Yes.
It's the minimum that you can do is
Right.
5%
Yeah.
tax relief. We had that discussion last time. Any comments or questions there? So I think we were within budget and we had, anticipated expenditures. Our remaining cash currently is approximately, 1.4 million. I have some questions, that I will put back to the mayor and to Lonnie, but there are some, there are quite a few items in our cash balance that are in restricted funds. There are multiple restricted funds in our cash balance, and I don't know how those are calculated. So I can show you if you want,
Restricted
if you
funds,
want
like,
to see them.
yeah, and what
I
type
will-
of restricted funds?
I will bring them up for you.
Thank you.
So, sorry, I have a lot of emails in here.
I understand completely.
So here is the resort tax cash.
Okay.
So you can see that there's, $2,600 for police equipment in cash. There's a future use for the pool. There's a future use for Hagan Avenue. There's pool user fees. I'm not sure how those sit in the cash or
That's a
what.
lot of money for pool user fees.
Yeah.
Is that,
And then there's park cash, and I don't know, I'm assuming the new business and the customer have to do with,
the $500 bond?
the $500 bonds, but I don't really know.
Oh,
So you can see that there's a big difference between
A lot.
the 1.4 and what this is showing, so, you know, it's, I probably need to understand that, because obviously how pool user fees go into that makes a difference, and, I mean, obviously you
Did
can't,
you get this cash report when you requested it from Lonnie?
yes, I did. But this is not, I've never received this report before. So,
100, that's not in this one, is it?
no,
So-
it's not, because it's a cash fund report. So how that drives into expenditures, I'm guessing the mayor doesn't know the answer to that question. So it is a question that we'll wanna understand is, how these are restricted, who restricted them, and what is there any anticipation of expenditures on them?
so,
So like that future use Hagan Avenue, as an example, is probably for the EDA project, some sort of some sort of part of the EDA project, that future use Hagen, I'm assuming is maybe for
I think
EDA,
I think that's a loan payment
or something that was already,
for the Hagen Water project.
Oh, for
I
Hagen
think.
Water,
I'm
okay.
Just guessing.
Guessing, okay.
Yeah, so I'm not, I guess, I don't
Yeah.
wanna pretend that I understand it, because I don't.
Well, and the cash restricted for the new businesses, you know, you have to pay that $500 bond, and after a year, you get it back.
If that's
So-
what that is, I don't know what,
Yeah.
that's what that is or not, but yes, it would be non-spendable, and it wouldn't be,
Right.
it,
50 new businesses, basically, which, that's,
yeah.
Yeah, so
That
you
could
But I
can-
don't know what the cash restricted customer is.
So essentially, what is the 25K and the 98K?
Well, it's all of them.
yeah, pool user fees of 108 is
Yeah, what's
kind
the
of
full
a
user fee?
weird one, that's my weird one.
Well, those wouldn't be
Oh, that
restricted.
might be the loan on the pool.
No, that's.
Yeah,
I
no, it's
would've said
98.
User
Yeah.
fees,
I
but-
bet there's, I'm guessing that's, the 98's part of that 108.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay,
We
we'll
can
get one.
find out.
We'll get out, we'll avoid guessing and get one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's that, so.
Okay.
Okay, so that's all on that. Does anybody have any questions on that stuff?
No.
Want to talk about?
So approximately, we're starting off with a balance of 1.4 million then.
Yeah, it might be 1.5. Yeah, we just need to
Okay.
confirm that. That's what I would say.
Mary, you will ask Lonnie about those?
Yes, and
Thank you.
follow up with, and then I'll look to him to communicate.
All right. On to budget?
Yep.
All right, I have expressed to the mayor that I, was probably a lot more than not happy with this budget process. I'm pretty frustrated, with how this has gone, and this document that's produced that looks absolutely nothing like anything that we have talked about. The process was supposed to be clear. I felt like it worked last year, and I feel like essentially, the mayor has failed to respect what the Resort Tax Committee, the work we have done in the production of this budget, and it should not have been produced this way, and it should not look like this. He has committed to fixing that process and working on it, and I'm appreciative of that, and I'm ready to move forward with looking at this as it is presented. And to come back to it, I expressed to the mayor, and I appreciate Public Works Director Maples being here again and having been here to present his pieces to us. And I think we have included his stuff in our draft budgets, but it seems like there was our process and there was a process that happened in City Hall, and those two processes were not aligned. And if they're not, that's what happened the year before last, and we said we were not going to do that again, and it happened again this year. And I do not think we should exist if that's what's going to happen, or we should not even be involved in budget, which means we probably only have to meet once a year or something like that. And so it's disappointing. I'll express that to you too, Jody, because I feel like you should have been, as our representative on council, protecting this and expressing our input on this, and I think you failed to do that. And so I think what I'd like to do, I'd like to get your guys' thoughts on this, but what I'd like to do is figure out where we go from here. The option that I talked with the mayor about before this meeting is actually we go through and mark up this version so it reflects ours, and then he can disagree with us, but I asked him to disagree. If he doesn't want something, if he's going to disagree with us, to let us know that he's going to disagree with us. Perfectly fine. I would rather not have that disagreement be in council. That's what this meeting's for. And so we understand that if he's going to present something different to the council than what we've talked about, that we understand what that is. Anybody have any thoughts or comments on that?
No, that's fair.
The only comment that I had, just as with folks, and what's the most recent copy of the version what's the most recent date you have on the version of a budget you have in front of you?
Well, was 7.8 until you just gave me 7.15.
Well, that was just resort tax. I'm talking
Yeah.
about the general budget.
624,
What,
and then I had 5.9 before that.
and I've got a 5.5 in front of me, that has all my scribbles and notes on. What I wanted to do, Jody, and I'll defer to you since you've got that later copy, is,
7.8, okay.
well,
I have 7.8.
maybe it's actually all in this, it's all in this resort tax. So this,
Everything's in
everything that
resort
we
tax
care
that we
about
care about.
is here.
Yeah.
And then, so what's on here that's not reflected in the budget presentation you guys put forth? So, yeah, so it's all there, I guess.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure we didn't leave anything out. So what's happened subsequent to that, to when this came out last time, when you guys have the table version of it, is we've gotten input from all of our directors. I've met with them. Some of that we had last time, and I said, I remembered talking about the dump truck, whether we did or didn't. I don't know if you remember I'm in a lot of these.
I don't
things,
think
so
any of
know.
the items in Public Works are, I think we've had that conversation, and I think,
Okay,
we're all-
because
Yeah.
when we chatted on the phone, that's where,
Public Works.
that was a large part of your frustration with the public works stuff, the stuff you listed.
well, it was
specifically public
the
works.
whole, no, it was the whole process.
Okay.
It's the whole process is the
So-
frustration, is
Okay.
that this document was developed completely independent of any input from the Resort Tax Committee. And while there are some things that are the same, because the input came from the same places, this document was not developed with input from the Resort Tax
So,
Committee.
so at a
And so-
high level, what I think is, department heads throw it in, and then you guys weigh in, yay, nay, I don't think we should do that, that should be covered from that. Go ahead.
So, just so I understand the process, right now, if we look under law enforcement, we just talked about, we had set a budget of 100,000, they were asking for 200,000, and then after further
Right.
discussion, we arrived at 140,000. So from that
Only
point,
says 20 up there.
Yeah, it only says 20,000 there.
There's a lower number, sorry, if you look under there, that's the.
I'm just looking at my
Oh,
notes.
So, yeah,
right now.
so that's the
Okay.
140.
Okay,
It
so
equals
140.
Okay.
So where
Okay.
does that, how does that get to this? Like,
So
who
there's
communicates
What I'm
that?
seeing is 202 budgeted.
Right,
Yeah.
but we had talked
So-
about,
At,
we agreed
at,
on
at
40
admin and
last
finance,
time.
I did present this to admin and finance. At the admin and finance.
so not the 140.
No, what you gave me, I did give that to Chelsea and Sandy, and I did present it to admin and finance. None of this has gone before full council yet. You know, it's not to that point yet.
So that,
It's
so
still a
how it
working
got there
budget.
is via you to the admin
Yes.
and finance. Okay,
Yes,
thank you.
yes.
I just wanted to understand the process and how it,
Yes, it has not gone to full council yet. It is still a working budget.
and do you have another pen?
So, like, starting with law enforcement, the 202,
Thank you.
I guess
I'll give it
our, I'm trying to understand what our role is as a committee.
I think that really is the question, is like, what is the purpose of the committee as it relates to this?
So,
Last year, I felt it, I mean, let me just say this, last year, I felt like it worked correctly, which is,
Right.
we presented a budget to the council, and then ultimately, that budget was accepted by the council. The process, it wasn't,
right.
a budget was produced, then, and again, coming back to the law enforcement stuff, we wouldn't even seen that if we didn't ask about it last time.
Well,
We had-
last year there wasn't any, and I'm wondering if that's how this ended, because last year they didn't do any cars.
Yeah, but the process was different last year.
So Tom, can I understand, did you actually go to the council?
Yes, I actually went to the
Right.
council and presented the resort tax
And
budget.
you've not done that yet this
No.
year?
He is too.
We're slated to do that Tuesday, and that's part of the concern. So
Sorry, so my question, sorry, one more question, Dave. When was that last year? Would it have been in July, do you think?
I think so.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're on the same schedule for him going to the
Right.
council, so that's on
Right.
tracking.
Yeah.
And we're still working out the details of
Right.
this. My understanding, when I presented this, because it was lower than the 200 approved, was basically the difference is that
you said 200 approved?
two hundred requested, I'm sorry, for the law enforcement. The difference is the $50,000 that they want to put aside. And I brought that up, and it was said to me that that will only happen if there's extra in the resort tax. So it's not like a given, they get 50 grand to just put in a slush fund for this future law and justice center at all. So that's how, so it was closer than, if you take that 50 out of there, it's a lot closer to that 140. But I'm just telling you what happened at admin and finance, so.
Just so I understand, is this law enforcement center, is that a joint one with the county, or is that a separate one that the city is planning to do?
That's their dream machine, and the answer is start putting some pennies in the penny bank to make it a reality down the road sometime.
But the answer is for the city.
For city specific, separate from the county.
Yes, so. But like I say, none of this has
Can we
been
maybe go
approved
through
yet.
the whole thing and then come back and provide comments? So that's like
Yeah.
what I'm seeing, just what I'm seeing tonight, is the first time I've seen this, is that what we discussed at the last meeting is different than what's on the sheet. There's no value judgment in my statement of that. I just want to go through without value judgment
Yep.
on all of
Yep.
those items,
Yeah.
and then come back and maybe talk about values after that. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So then going on to road and street construction, are there any items in here that are surprises to us, I guess? The overall budget looks like $1 million roughly budgeted.
Mhm, and it includes the carryover of the 523,000 for the jetter truck
Gotcha.
lease, yeah.
So roughly 570-ish, 580. Is that
That's
where?
water, sewer, street.
There's a number in here that I don't know about. It says improvements other than B. And it says $40,000, the 930 number.
30 improvements other than the 40,000.
There's
Oh,
nothing.
no, sorry, and then zeroed.
Zero.
You know what that was? Was that street signs?
That was,
Yeah, it looks like it was 40,000.
That was the grader we got last year.
Oh, okay.
That's why it had 40 grand in there.
Well, and then we only spent 4,600 of it?
No, we spent 58. I came up with the other 18 out of a different fund.
Okay.
But there's zero budget for this year in that line.
Yeah, okay.
So otherwise, it looks like.
The public works
on-
looks good.
On aggregate, the public works is tracking with, for road
So
and street, is
what would
tracking
we-
with what we had in road and street.
So where were we at
Yeah,
up there?
I guess
Oh, the mini loader we had, at least in my impression, I know you were asking for, I thought we had said for next year with
Oh,
that.
yeah, that was probably me not stating clearly,
Yeah.
but it was,
Upcoming.
yeah, to be ready. The other thing that I think, and it's not a huge, it's a little one, we're budgeting more for asphalt. It's at
5,000.
35,000. 2024 was at 20, 2025 at 30, we bumped it up another 5.
We also had said, I think at the meeting, you said you didn't think you needed money for signs, and it's showing 6,000
I think-
wayfinding, which is fine if that's what it needs to be.
No, where do you see that, which line?
That is, 399.
99, other contract services,
399.
wayfinding.
I don't, that is like, I think that's just a standard, I can't remember, that's Lonnie, that's, for signs I need money? Oh,
Where are you saying
It's
399?
wayfinding
It
specific.
says wayfinding.
399?
I don't know what that is.
Other contracted services. So,
Oh, sorry, I was looking at.
I'm not
It's
sure.
not
We
signi-
did have- we had
It's not
one little-
significant enough to spend too
Yeah,
much
we had
time on.
one little fuzzy spot with the 40,000 that was budgeted this year and for every year since
Yeah.
forever. We were just gonna do the Broadway signs for that. I don't think we got them purchased on last year's budget. I'll have to find out with Lonnie. If we didn't, that's like $5,000.
But this says contracted services related to wayfinding, so this isn't that.
Yeah, no,
This
it
isn't
could
those
be
signs.
street signs. All right, let's not worry about it.
Yeah, I don't know what it is.
So for parks,
So wait, so I have one question mark in all of road and streets, and that's on line 399.
that's correct.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I'll find out what that is. I don't know what
I
it
don't
is.
think it's a big question.
And then I kind of just do a big box around law enforcement, because that seems to be where most of the heartburn is coming from.
I don't think I think it's, my heartburn is in process, not in detail.
And that's rightly so.
Parks. So is streets and roads, is it good with what we have up there then?
It's pretty close to what.
It's pretty close, well, it's, no, it's a little off, because we'd have to add in, I'd have to go in and add this in, so we would need, becomes sometimes a little bit challenging, so we're talking about a
The loader,
dump
dump truck,
truck,
one,
it-
36,
16,
688.
dump truck is 36,688.
One
16.
136, 668. 136, 668.
Right.
Is that for all of it though?
That's the loader in the dump truck, and the dump truck's only 16,000
6,800.
of that.
Yeah, 16,668, and then the loader is 120. According to the budget here. So the total is 136,660.
I'm not a big fan of budgeting that way, like, my feeling is you budget one.
If it's two items, you have two line items.
Well, it's two items, but also like,
I agree with that.
136, you budget 140,000.
Well, that's Lonnie came up with that.
Yeah, I mean,
That is
if,
dump truck and mini loader, just to clarify.
Yeah.
it just also gives you some wiggle room that.
So we're gonna be wiggling on that one
Yeah, so.
pretty
that
hard,
makes
but we'll
sense.
get it.
Are we fine with that as a single line item versus two?
I can do it.
That's the way she has it lined out, but.
Yeah, 'cause she has it under machinery and equipment total.
So, but let's line it out. So we're doing 120 in the mini loader.
120 and then put 20 grand, well, no, you could probably put 15, because we're splitting that between water and sewer.
For the dump truck.
We'll put 20. There you go.
I wonder if we wanna put in there something on line item 940, just so we can track it back, so we can trace it back. Any comments, or is that getting?
Do you wanna take out the mini loader in that line of the dump truck? Not confusing.
I love this.
But see, now, we're not doing all that one,
That
Point.
should be a 50/50 program, not Main Street sidewalk repair. That's what the 50 grand was going for, was cost share program.
Yeah. And it could be used for Main Street, but it could also be used in other places.
This is the,
That's a cost
50/50
share
sidewalk.
program.
okay.
The mini loader, you would use that regardless of whether the annexation occurred, I
Yes.
assume. Is there, I mean, obviously, the annexation is totally outside of our purview, but I know there's been has there been a study that's been done? I know the council's been talking about doing some sort of analysis on the cost benefit of annexing that property. Is there a produced report that the public?
there is not a produced report. I've given it to Public Works and basically said, so we're already providing the service. The only service that's new is police and road clearing.
Right.
And the
Probably
police are
providing
already,
police already.
And we're already providing the police.
Yeah.
And so the discussion has been,
Plowing the streets.
plowing the streets, what's it gonna cost us, and versus how much revenue we're gonna get coming in
And then
from that.
whatever annexation, resolution you pass
And
also relieves the city from any liability of providing water at any time.
Yeah, we're not yeah, so that's part, because they've already done the waiver when they
Right.
annex
Yeah.
for sure.
Where the waiver.
I mean, when, we don't get hardly any general fund money for streets or anything. So, I mean, if you wanna talk about the cost benefit analysis, I think that needs to be factored in. Cause we don't,
You
We don't-
would pick up the extra,
we pick up the extra work, I don't know.
well, but you'd also pick up the extra miles too, road miles.
But like I said, if that, no, we'd get that, yeah, we'd get the gas tax money.
I guess the policy question I have is, does the council at this stage, who are the policy-making decision body for the city, do they believe there's a cost benefit to annexing this property at the moment?
The answer is A, yes, and B, especially before the end of the year. Because right now, we get 100% of it as new growth.
Right.
After the first of the year, we get 75 or 40, depending on how the property breaks out. So that's what's driving that
And
conversation.
it really has a lot to do with the fact that we're already providing a lot of the services that they have up there.
And so we're also gonna dedicate the roads to the city, so that when we have to fix the roads in the future, it's gonna be our responsibility.
That is correct. That is part of the discussion.
Could you annex them without annexing the roads?
I guess, generally speaking,
And
my
there's really no
experience,
benefit
I
to it,
mean,
'cause we don't get the gas tax.
So,
generally, my experiences in urban planning is these types of things are not necessarily going to be net benefit to the community in terms of fiscal benefit, but if everyone believes they are, just because you believe they are, then I've asked a question in a meeting that has no relevance to that, and I'm gonna move on.
And there's parts of that conversation are still going. So we're working with Kelly at the league, who's a planner and an
Yeah.
attorney and 3 or 4 other things.
Kelly's good.
And we've started that conversation, but we haven't finished it.
Okay.
And it has not hit council yet, because
Okay.
we do not have those figures yet, so.
Gotcha.
But that will be discussed at a future council meeting?
I anticipate, we're shooting to have that. The question is this something that makes sense to move on? And B, do we need to move on before the end of the year or so? And I think the B is a given if the A works out.
Yeah.
Are you also looking at Woodlands still?
Pardon?
Are you
Yeah.
also,
Are you talking about 2 Mile? Is that, yeah,
Woodlands, yeah,
both of those.
okay.
Okay. All right, moving on. Parks. So I think the parks actually is pretty on track with what we were talking about.
Yeah, I think it was, if anything, they had 80, the line put in there is 85 for Park Project, 82 for the Pride Park, and then they.
Yeah, so-
And that's where
So
the
we
difference
had,
is here.
we had upped it to 100 for parks projects to try and get some more money, and we knew that there was gonna be some input into the pickleball courts, I think. And
Yeah,
so,
that would be great. I think we'd find homes for those projects.
I want to jump in here, because this to me feels like one of them, that there was, that there's a, hey, what you guys have is not what we have. And this actually came up in the discussion. Because this has, as parks, it has, oh, actually, you have Pride Park separately as 82 already
yes, we
on
do.
there.
Yeah,
Yep.
in capital.
Okay.
And then,
And then parks projects, we upped it from 85 to 100.
so if I add up parks, and pool kind of fits in that too, right? If I'm adding up all the park stuff, what is your total on parks?
Well,
Projects.
But-
Pool and parks
separate
is
here.
different.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So,
separate.
so my,
So let's compare our total
we're
on
at 182, and I'll just say that there's just a slight difference that maybe it works out. The operation and maintenance in this current budget, if I calculated it correctly, is 118,179. So it's basically 120 in the parks operations and maintenance instead of 100. So if we put that up to 120,
But I'm looking at 335 for parks,
Yeah,
which is a significant difference.
that's what I'm trying to figure out too, 'cause that's only 202, so we're missing 135.
I mean, it's gotta be
$3.
390, whatever you're going.
let me
with,
see,
390. Park project,
what we got?
miscellaneous 85, the 82.
Okay, 21.
Oh, that was.
Brewery
yeah,
Hill match.
The Brewery Hill match.
Oh, yeah, for some reason, the Brewery Hill match is in parks. K 36 and K 37.
And that is another just set aside.
We need 207 for that when it happens or something, is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, we put it in future, we put it in as 400 right now, is in future, but, because you didn't know what it was last time.
Can't remember. I thought it was like 207 or 250, 252 was gonna be our match, last number I saw.
Can I change it to that?
What's that?
Can I change it to 250? So the question is, it's not gonna be in this budget year anyway.
No, but what I wanna do is set money,
No,
what I had is setting some money aside. So this, we're not gonna wait and not do anything,
Yeah.
but it's also the last stuff to get paid out of it too. Meaning, we don't, it doesn't get spent until we need it, but we're allocating it, so we don't spend it elsewhere. So, I've still got Parks projects at 85 versus you have it at 100. I've got Pride Park at 82, and I've got the Brewery Hill at 50.
So I put parks operation and maintenance at 120. So then the question is do you want
I have-
parks project to be at 100 or do you want it to be at 85? I think we were allocating for more money
I'd
to
vote
parks
for
project.
100, but
I think we were advocating for slightly more money to parks project so that we could continue to get stuff done.
I'm good with that as long as it works out, you know, budget-wise.
Where's the O and M? Is that,
So the problem is that, so in this budget, because everything is, it's a little hard to read this budget, the way it's put together. It's just because that's all this other stuff. It's
Basically,
personnel services, it's workers' comp, it's office supplies, it's
Yeah,
all that other miscellaneous stuff.
if you subtract 232, which is Parks projects at 100, Pride Park and 50, isn't that 232?
Well, we started, so this is here, let me show you, I got it right here.
Can you make that a
It's-
little bit bigger?
I can make it a lot bigger, all right.
Mhm.
So that 118 is if you look at the parks, right? The total at parks is 335, 179. So then if you take 335, 179, and you take out 85, 82, and 50, you end up with 118, 179.
I was doing the same thing, so.
and
And then
that's,
can you
yeah,
scroll
so that's
over?
all the 390 stuff, basically, is where that is. That's all line
That's
390.
That's half the Willie's salary and gas, fuel, parts, and labor, whatever, porta potties, whatever. Makes a lot of.
We had a debate early on in this, and we got wrapped around the axles a little bit on it, on whether we should just, you know, transfer $100,000 to Public Works for operations and maintenance, or whether the detail of Willie's salary should all come into resort tax, or we should just say, let all his salary come into Public Works, and we'll transfer $100,000 from.
We'll reimburse 50% of it.
And we'll show, and so then the resort tax budget simply just shows 100,000. And then you get to use up the extra however you want, and that, like I said, we talked a lot about that at one of our beginning meetings and got wrapped around the axles on it, and,
I like this, what we're doing now seems to work good.
okay, then we should not change it.
And we
So
kept it there,
that-
it's just kind of transparent that that's what's happening.
Yeah.
So 118 plus 85 plus,
50 all the way
50
about, this
plus
50,
100.
this 50.
this 50, Brewery
That
Hill.
50, yeah.
Okay.
I'm not sure Brewery Hill is a parks project, I think it's more of a streets project, but doesn't matter.
I think they're having to classify it as a
It
trail,
was the trail is.
so they can't classify it as a
That's-
sidewalk, because it doesn't meet the
But you
requirements
tell
of
me
the
if
There's a
you
sidewalk.
lot of funny things in there that.
Trails is the conversation we were having.
Perfect.
So that makes it hard.
38, okay. All right, close enough, I get it now.
And that is new since you guys did yours. It was like, hey, we don't have streets, we don't have Brewery Hill in there, we should please put.
Yeah, we just had it as set aside for next year. We just had it into next year's.
Gotcha.
And we had it all up. We did talk about that, we just said that it wasn't necessary this year, so that would be.
So we have two of those that have been, we talked about, but they were categorized as future budget year.
Future budget projects, that's correct.
And the pool looks like it matches.
So pool matches it, essentially, again, pool is,
54. I can't see that again.
154,000, yeah, total.
pool is 150 plus principal and interest at 198, whatever.
78, okay, yep, and that matches the next two. Okay,
So-
and then,
fire protection is 0. So then, what's not in here is ice rink improvements. And actually, so now we bounce
Okay.
again with the 140 for law enforcement and the ice rink in there.
What I have not had a chance to go back and do is confirm what level council approved that ice rink discussion. I remember saying, taking it to council, remember going to council and saying, okay, we're good. I don't remember if that was a general discussion or if that was long. What's your recollection, Jody? Do you have,
No,
I don't think we did a resolution on it.
no, we don't have a resolution on it. I mean, if we're getting to that point,
400.
I mean, if we're getting to that point, we probably need to have it as a discussion item in land use and planning and then at the general council, and then it needs to be voted on at the following meeting, so,
And I think you,
not, you know, because we have to talk about it before we
yeah,
vote on it. How close are we to getting stuff?
not till next summer.
Oh, so we have.
Yes, not,
Okay, it's not,
not a,
okay.
I can tell you there's some people over there that are not for the ice rink.
well,
Because I was talking to them about the streets the other day, and I couldn't talk to them about the streets, because
they were worried
they
about
were
the
so fired up about the ice.
There are some people that think it's gonna be a giant building too, which is not gonna be.
Yeah.
No, it's been an ice rink.
And,
It's only been an ice rink for somewhere in the neighborhood of.
20 years.
Oh, no.
well, long before that.
If you look at the ground there,
Yeah,
somewhere in the 70s, they
Yes.
dug that park
They
out to
did,
be an ice
right.
rink, maybe even longer ago than that. And the push for it was the guy who lived the big house that's right across the street was he was the main push for that.
Yeah.
There's even a fire hydrant that was put in there just to fill that hole. So
Well, I
it's
just
been an
know
ice rink for, you know.
that Sean is 21 now, and he took little skating lessons when he was like 2 years old, learned to skate, so, I mean, so I know it's at least 20.
That's when the briar bushes got cleared
Yeah.
so that it could be an ice rink.
Yes,
Yeah.
but it became what it is now. It was
Yes.
at least 20 years
It
ago.
was at least 20 years ago,
Yeah.
because that's when I started getting involved with
Yeah.
it, when my kids were
Yeah,
that age.
The
Yeah.
boards went up, I think, in 2005.
yeah,
Yeah.
and Sean was born in 2004.
There's a long history of that being an ice rink, so folks who are like, that's like going, it was the same conversation with the pool, right? Like, you know, it's like, that's what it's been.
yeah,
And it's not, the question is do we want, it's not about whether we want an ice rink, and let me put on not my resort tax hat, but my being interested in ice hat for a second. I believe the question isn't whether we want an ice rink, the question is do we want an ice rink that's usable, sustainable, and maintainable, or do we want to have one that is pretty difficult and not
May
as
get
useful?
2 months use out of it
Yeah.
total.
And I am of the opinion that there is probably the most used park
when you look at the amount of time it gets used and the timeframe, and if we get the solid waste rink, it will actually
Yeah.
even go more
Well,
than that.
and
Can I come back
economic
to-
development was,
Yeah.
So if I look at this, I see law enforcement, I see 120, and then up above I see 20.
Yeah, so that's 140. Let's just put it all in one spot, so it's,
Well, so that to
140.
me is, that's one that's significantly different than the 202.
Right,
That
but
120
50,000 of it is like that, if there's extra to put it aside. So that's not necessarily
But we
that
need-
far off.
that needs to
We
be in
need
there then.
this and this to reconcile as
We
present it to
do,
the
absolutely,
council.
I agree, but I'm just saying it's not, I mean, it's basically one item that we're kind of off on.
I think what we said is that we were willing to support, at the last meeting, we were willing to support all the stuff, but not the 50,000 set aside, especially because it really, again, no plan and,
And I'm looking at a $60,000 difference, so I'm still trying to.
yeah, so
figure out-
there's, we basically use that to make it balance. So, I mean, I guess, you know, what are folks' feelings on that? I think, you know, we hadn't seen this until just at the last meeting. Security doors for 2,500 are probably not a capital improvement. Shop heaters, 8,000.
Because capital is five grand.
No, it doesn't do that.
Yes, it
we-
does.
We've never had to do that before.
Capital is $5,000,
Okay,
That's the definition.
yeah.
oh, okay.
And the city's definition of capital is $5,000.
Oh, well, we've never followed it before, so that.
Because if it's less than $5,000, it's not capital, it's
Okay.
operation, so that becomes
Okay,
important when it's things
Yeah,
that are not
I just-
eligible for
yeah.
non-capital expenditures.
just,
So we should be doing that, and then, you know, even things, you have to be cautious about things like vest panels, because if it's one vest panel for $5,000, it counts. If it's 6 vest panels, it's not, that's not capital.
but see, we've gotten new radios before, and it was, I mean,
Probably
we've done it before.
Probably not correct.
Yeah,
That's-
so, I mean, I guess,
Can I
Yeah,
go back to
whether it was
the last conversation that we had, the minutes that we just approved? Jody, I guess what I recall from the last meeting is maybe you were gonna communicate the board's, vote that we support a public safety mill levy. Has that been how does that move forward to the committees and then the council? How does
but
that advisory board recommendation move
it
forward?
goes to, the committee level.
And has
the ad-
it gone to the committee level?
Yes, I did tell admin and finance that, that you did not, you know, the resort tax committee's recommendation was that they find other ways of paying for law enforcement and not relying on, you know, resort tax. That we needed to do some type of public safety type thing, or, you know, whatever other means that may
And I
be.
think that's appropriate. The input from this committee is not you should do a mill levy. The input
Yeah.
from this committee is this shouldn't come from resort tax.
Mhm.
And I did relay that on.
Yeah.
I did,
Yeah, for
yes.
sure.
I did relay that on, and I did relay that on last year as well. And the year before.
You said at the council meeting too, didn't you?
Yes.
And I think we're not opposed to police cars coming from resort tax. Well, you know, that's kind of been a plan.
That's the
but-
capital.
But
Yeah,
yeah, but that, our concern is that, and I think there's probably one that, part of our concern was one from the resort tax committee, and I think part of our concern was from just being involved in this, which is to say that you can't continue, the police is getting very expensive, and you cannot continue to let all the other city services have to be trying to nickel and dime resort tax to be able to afford police. We are in favor of police, just to be clear. We
Mhm.
just think that you need to find permanent funding for police, and just hoping that it's gonna continue to work out in the future is not a plan. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I mean, and I'll just get on a very quick soapbox, because I haven't said much tonight. I mean, I've been a resident of this town for almost 20 years. I own a house, a rental property, a lot, so I, of course, pay taxes. So I just got my tax bills, and, you know, when I look at this, if y'all haven't seen it, we get this Carbon County 10-year annualized property tax collection report, which shows that Red Lodge is the lowest annual percent change in taxes of any of the taxing jurisdictions which impact the county. So, you know, state, county, schools, Bear Creek, Bridger, Fromberg, Joliet are all higher, in terms of how their increase in taxes have changed over the past 10 years. I've been here for 20 years. I was a department head when I first moved here as a planning director. At that time, I believe we had a revenue problem and not an expenses problem. I still believe today that we have a revenue problem, not an expenses problem, meaning we're not collecting enough revenue to do all the things we could do to make our community a better place, whether that's better parks, the ice rink, better police service, better roads, all the things we need in the community. My point, simple point is, we're still not collecting enough revenue. And so that's a council issue. Our role as this committee is simply to say, if you're gonna ask this committee for our opinion on using the revenue that we have input on as a committee, we're gonna generally probably be selective when it comes to things like small things out of the police department, specifically maybe, because there are very clear ways of asking the public to increase revenue for police, particularly through a public safety mill levy. And I get it, it comes down to your political views on whether or not taxes should increase or not. I believe, well, I'm just one voice, I support tax increases at the city level because I know it has a direct relationship to the services I'm provided. And so that's just a policy position that I wanted to get out there again, that I think we got out. It's all related, of course, when you're talking about a budget.
And mathematically, we've lost 23% of our purchasing power since that time because of the restrictions we have on our revenues going up.
Yeah, and then there's inflation and all the other stuff.
That's what I'm saying, the inflation is, we've lost,
Right.
with the amount of money we get compared to inflation, mathematically, we've lost 22.5%
Correct.
of our buying power.
Correct, and so at some point in time,
I think
the council has to think about revenue, right?
just to talk about what you said in a comment from the Public Works Director, which is that we don't have a fund out of the general fund for streets.
I mean, we do, we have
It's,
some.
it's,
a little
it's
tiny
very
bit.
little bit, though, and, you know, if you talk to the public really wants to see streets. You know, like,
Police
it's-
and fire,
Yeah, all of it.
85, 90.
Well, out of the property taxes,
I brought the
all of
wrong
it.
pages for my taxes, and I left them.
So-
Just wanna compare.
You know, when people say, hey, I pay taxes, my street should be better, I say, well,
No, all the
Don't
property
pay
tax,
taxes.
no, all the property taxes right now
pay
goes
it as a
to
pump.
Primarily,
Yeah.
primarily the police.
police and fire,
Yep.
yeah. There's
And,
no more property
right.
taxes, that's it.
Actually, the police budget is more than you collect in general tax revenue. Now, there's also something called entitlement, which is a big part of the general
Right.
fund tax, and it is an important piece, and that gives you some of that extra, that function, but.
So to bring us back to this meeting,
Mhm.
I'm still looking at law enforcement. So as I go through here, security doors are coming out of here. Vent panels are coming out of here. There's still a difference between our number and your number, and I want those to match, so we have a common voice as we go in Tuesday night, and you give your presentation to council.
So if you add up, anybody have a calculator?
So I actually have
On my phone.
47,000, so when I look at I look at 10.5 is what I've got for budget.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure what the security door is, 2,500, I'm just looking at 10,000.
So you've got
That's the
125, you've got,
so that
here,
gives us eight.
let's do this. You've got 125, 576, 125, 576 plus computers of 16,500 plus 10,500. That's 152,576. You're saying you're gonna minus the,
3,500.
I'm trying to figure out, how come I showed 202,576?
the 50,000 for the building.
Okay, so 120 and 202 is more than 50,000, that's
Oh my
80,000 difference.
152,576
152.
plus 50 is 202,576. Have we changed the rules of math yet?
No,
Okay.
Twice while I was growing up, but not in this meeting.
All right, so then if you're saying subtract vest panels at 5,900,
Because they don't qualify.
that,
And security doors at
and security
25.
doors at 2,500.
Yep.
And you should fund both of those out of the general fund. We're not suggesting they don't get vest panels,
Right.
okay?
Where does that leave us?
So now we're at 144, 176.
So 41.
We're gonna put it to 145, 1, 2, 3, and call it good. Anybody disagree with that? Chris?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay,
So, to be clear, the differences are the two items that we subtracted because they they don't qualify and shouldn't be included.
yes,
Plus the $50,000 for a building.
yes.
Explain why not the $50,000 for a building, but we're going to do $50,000 for Brewery Hill and $4,000 for ice rink, and so that's all stuff that we're setting aside.
Well, you can carry forward money. I mean, essentially,
Right.
if it's not in right now, depending on,
You're just saying we're over budget at that point.
you're not gonna have your cash reserve that you want to at 300,000. Right now, you got a cash reserve of 327,633. Now, we can collect more money, that'll get you more money, I think also, I guess what I'm saying is build a plan for a building as opposed to just starting to put money away, because you got a long way to go. And that,
Are there planning grants out there that you can get for it? Or are they thinking that they'd need the match, the
Well,
50,000 for match?
at this
for it?
point, we're looking at that as we do some engineering and planning when we get there.
Okay.
But I don't even know where to go at this juncture. There's a couple of different conversations that have come up, but those are all,
Why don't they go with the county? That seems like it'd be the best way to go. They're putting in a law enforcement.
it's not off the table.
Is that,
Yeah.
Let me
Put money in
throw a
different
completely other wild one out there. Stillwater mine parking lot down on the street. What if the city can acquire that? Or that could be parking, that could be a parking garage, that could be a future police building. What are the thoughts of this group as a whole?
I'm in
That'd be your
favor of land acquisition, but
Yeah, generally I'm in favor of land acquisition too, but I guess I don't know what the plan is, obviously. Like for this building, is the idea that this building would be then abandoned, or this would be something for else?
The plan is not out that far. I have looked at it before and pursued it, looked at it just for parking, just because parking is such a problem and issue at this town. And it turns out maybe it's an option.
Kind of
Yeah,
far
I mean,
off the beaten
I
path.
guess I would be, like, as a resort tax committee member, I would be supportive of a concept of doing a facility plan for the city. So looking at all of your property and, how you use that property and projecting into the future needs. of the
Could we do that
community,
from resort
city
tax? I
hall.
don't know if we could
I
do
don't know
that
if it would be
resort tax.
from resort tax, but like a planning effort that focuses on the assets of the city. I would be an advocate for that.
But where it kind of comes up is, how do we make it fit into this picture all of a sudden? Let's say it's $300,000, I'm just pulling that number out of thin air.
I put it in
The way you do, where did you put it?
Could,
there. Under
Future
future.
fund.
could we do, if we wanna have, our goal for cash reserve at the year end is 300 and we have 327, could we put that 27 toward something?
I don't think we should I think we should resist feeling obligated to spend the money, because I think that is a slippery slope you can fall into. Like, oh, we've got an extra 27,000, let's just spend it. I think we have to continue to be thoughtful with what we spend, because remember, that 27,000 rolls over into next year. We don't lose it. And this budget is not rock solid. In November, the mayor can come to us, or not come to us and say, hey, I want to spend an extra, I want to buy this instead of this, or I want to spend extra money on this.
Yeah.
He's able to, we're not,
Yeah.
no, you don't have to do a budget amendment. Your budget is in the total expenditures, and so
For resort tax.
you can reallocate things within there
Right.
midstream.
The only
So-
time you have to do a budget amendment is if you're switching something from one fund to another,
Yeah.
so. He
Right.
went from
It's-
general
it's the
fund to
total
resort
split
tax,
down,
yeah.
So, you know, my hope is that you wouldn't do that without, again, our purpose is to give input, but yes, I think that is
Yeah.
reasonable.
I like that I'm okay with the fact that we've thrown that down there. And again, part of that is the planning, which is the very reason that I am resistant. I believe this council as a whole is resistant. And I know when I was on council, when we were passing the resort tax, was resistant to using it for any additional debt servicing, just because that takes away the ability to make decisions next year and the year after that. If you say, oh, we can afford the payment, therefore we can afford it, something's gonna come up next year, and you're not gonna be able to do anything about it.
Yeah, I think you have to have some balance in there. Some debt's okay, because sometimes you can't get a project done if you don't do debt.
Understood.
And sometimes trying to build up the money is not the right thing, and so I think you have to find balance in there.
So your ice rink, is that 300 is down below, or is that also up above?
It's up above.
So you're gonna take that 275 out of there?
Yeah, well, that was future, again, for 27, 28, in case there's more in there, but that's just a memo. Remember, all this stuff down is just
Mhm.
ideas for us in the
Okay.
future. It's just not, there's no commitment to anything that's down there.
So I think, you know, part of the issue that came up with what happened is that you didn't have the full budget before we started that. And I would suggest that next year, you know, everyone gets a copy of this when admin and finance does, resort tax, because we got the copy of the budget in May.
Can I actually say that that's not how the process should go?
Okay,
What should happen is, those items should come to the resort tax committee, then we should build the budget, and then our budget should go to the mayor, and the mayor should present that to admin and finance. That's really how that should happen. I mean, if the mayor can advocate his responsibility and say ours goes directly to admin and finance, but,
oh, admin and finance did not make the budget.
Yeah,
The mayor made the budget
So the
with
mayor-
the
But I
with
went to
with
the department heads and said,
yeah.
hey, Mike, what do we wanna do?
and
Yeah,
what we asked for from you in December or January was to tell us what your proposals
Yeah,
was,
okay.
and have the department heads come. Mike showed up. None of the other information was ever given to us, and then that was done without any input from us, and that's not how that process should work.
No, that's
to
fair.
me, I guess I'm not seeing.
And I'm gonna let us go for 3 more minutes and we're done, so.
Okay, no.
I just don't want this to happen again. I mean, I want
Well, and I don't see
things
that it's that broken, like I said.
No, I don't
think
either. I think we just have
This meeting that
to,
we're having tonight, when we're doing it with having all the department head stuff in here, it's just, it would've been nice to have this 2 months earlier. so
Well,
that
the
we're
problem
doing
is
it here, but-
this document did exist last month. It was not given to us. When we asked about items, Jody had to go and find it and pull up and start telling us things that were on it.
yeah.
And that was the budget meeting. That should have been, if you have the intent of having things in the budget, it would've been nice that it was given to us when the idea came up, so that it could be incorporated, not that we build a budget like we did the last meeting, and then now there's 2 budgets floating around, and no one knows
Right.
which one is the one that is the proposed budget.
Yeah, and that's why I'm saying you need it earlier, I guess. Because basically it starts out as a wish list from the
Yeah.
department heads, you know, and then we go through it line by line, the mayor meets with the
And I
department
guess my
heads,
thing
and then
is
you
that
meet with
this
people.
is so constantly developing, that there's literally stuff that's been added 2 weeks
Well,
ago, 3 weeks ago,
and the problem is that if there's the impression that this is a slush fund, there will always be
No.
things that can get added in. Oh, we've got extra money to spend in resort tax, let's buy this, let's buy that.
It's not that it's a slush fund without, oh crap, Brewery Hill's coming up, how come we didn't take that into account?
Brewery Hill has been on our radar for more than 6 months.
In here? Because it wasn't in here, that's what I'm saying.
It was in I mean, we've been talking about Brewery Hill since
Yeah.
for months and months and months. It's not a new item at all. It wasn't in for this year because you specifically said you didn't need the money until
Right.
next year.
Yeah.
But that's where we don't want to spend every penny in here.
And the 400K for the ice rink doesn't exist anywhere other than in this budget
And
right now.
but again, it's been in the discussion in this committee for more than a year. Probably, actually, if you were to actually go back, we were having ice rink discussions as the second thing to the pool 5 years ago.
Do you feel good and that we're close enough for Tuesday's presentation?
Yeah.
I'll shut up.
Anybody else have any comments?
Any public comment?
I see no comments.
Do you wanna talk about the P cannery a little bit real quick?
Sure.
And I plan.
Does it fit into resort tax discussion?
That's after this gets
After
over,
this meeting.
Okay,
after Tom closes.
I'm just making
Oh, I
sure.
thought we were done.
Can I have a motion to adjourn?
Go ahead,
I so move.
Second.
because I am
All in favor?
not a voting member, right?
I were.
Before we talk about
Are my
the
titles
cannery,
gonna be